Switzerland isn't just rich. It's the secret lifeline keeping 10 countries from economic collapse. And if Switzerland ever falls, the domino effect would be catastrophic. If you've ever wondered why some countries seem immune to chaos while others depend on invisible strings, this is for you. Because today, we're counting down 10 nations that couldn't survive without Switzerland. And number 1, millions of lives hang in the balance. Before we begin, please subscribe to ensure that you never miss out on any of my essential stuff. Comment, "I subscribe" below, and I will personally welcome you to our community. With that said, let's get started. Let's start with 10. Liechtenstein. This tiny country of 39,000 people has no airport and no military, and yet it's one of the richest per capita. How? In 1924, Prince Hans Adam II made a deal that would define Liechtenstein forever. He tied the country's currency and customs to Switzerland, not as a partnership, as a dependency. Today, Liechtenstein uses Swiss francs. They have no central bank, no independent trade policy. They are Switzerland's economic shadow. According to 2023 World Bank data, Liechtenstein's GDP is $6.8 billion. Impressive for 39,000 people. But here's the kicker. 90% of their exports flow through Swiss infrastructure. Swiss roads, Swiss ports, Swiss bureaucracy. If Switzerland closed its borders for just 72 hours, Liechtenstein's economy would freeze. Literally, no imports, no exports, no cash flow. But Liechtenstein is just the beginning. The next country on this list has 8 million people, and they're just as trapped. 9. Austria. Austria shares a 102-mile border with Switzerland, but it's not geography that binds them, it's survival. Let me take you back to 2015. The refugee crisis was overwhelming Europe. Austria's border checkpoints collapsed under the weight of 90,000 migrants in a single month. Hospitals were overcrowded. Shelters were full. And Austria did something it didn't want to publicize. It called Switzerland for help. Switzerland stepped in with emergency logistics, housing overflow migrants, and providing medical aid worth 340 million euros. But that was just the start. Today, 23% of Austria's pharmaceutical imports come from Swiss manufacturers. Roche, Novartis, the giants. Cancer treatments, insulin, surgical equipment. According to a 2022 European Medicines Agency report, Austria relies on Swiss drug pipelines for 67% of its critical medications. Imagine walking into a Vienna hospital and being told, "We can't treat your cancer because a factory in Basel shut down." That's Austria's nightmare. And it's not hypothetical. It almost happened during the 2020 pandemic when Swiss borders briefly tightened. Austria is building domestic pharma hubs, but experts say it'll take 15 years to achieve independence. Until then, they're at Switzerland's mercy. Austria's dependency is medical, but the next country? They've handed Switzerland the keys to their entire financial system. 8. Vatican City. The Pope's wealth isn't in gold. It's in a Swiss bank vault. 1929, Pope Pius XI signed the Lateran Treaty with Italy, officially creating Vatican City as an independent state. As compensation, Italy paid the Vatican 750 million lire, a fortune. And what did the Pope do? He immediately deposited it in Swiss banks. Fast forward to today. The Vatican Bank, officially called the Institute for the Works of Religion, IWAR, still uses Switzerland for 60% of its international transactions. We're talking about $8 billion in Vatican assets managed by Swiss financial institutions like Credit Suisse and UBS. According to the Vatican's 2021 Financial Transparency Report, Swiss banks handle all euro to dollar conversions for the Holy See. Every charitable donation, every real estate investment, every paycheck for priests in 120 countries. If Switzerland froze Vatican accounts tomorrow, the Catholic Church couldn't pay salaries. Imagine that. The richest religious institution on earth. Helpless. But the Vatican's dependence is spiritual money. The next country? Their entire military would collapse without Switzerland. 7. Singapore. Singapore is Asia's Switzerland. But here's the twist. Singapore needs the real Switzerland to stay powerful. When Lee Kuan Yew, Singapore's founding father, visited Zurich in 1965. He was mesmerized. Banking secrecy, precision engineering, neutrality. He decided to model Singapore on Switzerland's playbook. And it worked. Singapore became one of the richest nations in Asia. But Singapore didn't just copy Switzerland. It became dependent on it. 14% of Singapore's foreign reserves, $75 billion, are held in Swiss francs as a hedge against dollar collapse. Why? Because Singapore's leaders don't fully trust the US, China, or even the euro. Switzerland is their safety net. And then there's technology. Swiss precision machinery builds 40% of Singapore's semiconductor tools, ASML components, lithography tech. These machines cost $150 million each, and without them, Singapore's entire chip industry grinds to a halt. According to the Singapore Monetary Authority's 2024 report, Swiss franc holdings increased 18% in just 3 years. Think Singapore is independent? Their entire tech boom depends on Swiss machines. Oh, and here's a fun fact. Singapore still sends its military officers to Switzerland for Alpine warfare training. Why? Because Lee Kuan Yew believed that if Singapore soldiers could survive Swiss mountains, they could survive anything. Singapore chose this dependence, but the next country had it forced on them by war. 6. Ukraine. Ukraine is fighting for survival, and Switzerland is secretly keeping them alive. Meet Alina. She's a 34-year-old nurse in Kiev. Every week, she unpacks boxes stamped with a Red Cross and a Swiss flag. Antibiotics, painkillers, surgical kits. Without these shipments, her hospital would run out of supplies in 72 hours. But Switzerland's role in Ukraine goes deeper than medicine. Since 2022, $4.2 billion in Ukrainian oligarch money has been frozen in Swiss banks. Switzerland controls whether Ukraine can access those funds for rebuilding. And so far, most of it remains locked. Meanwhile, Swiss humanitarian aid provides 31% of Ukraine's emergency medical supplies. According to the International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC, 2024 report, Swiss-based logistics delivered 890,000 medical kits to Ukraine last year alone. Every vial of insulin, every pack of gasolina uses pass through Geneva first. Here's the irony. Switzerland remains neutral in the war, but Ukraine's survival depends on Swiss generosity. If Switzerland ever decided to cut aid, maybe due to political pressure, maybe due to economic strain, Ukraine's healthcare system would collapse within weeks. But Ukraine's dependence is temporary. The next country? They've been Switzerland's puppet for 100 years. 5. San Marino. San Marino is older than Switzerland, but it can't survive without it. Founded in 301 AD, San Marino is the world's oldest republic. It's outlasted empires, survived wars, and maintained independence for over 1,700 years. But in 1897, something changed. San Marino signed a treaty allowing Switzerland to represent them in international disputes. They have no diplomatic corps, no foreign embassies. Switzerland is their foreign ministry. Today, San Marino uses the euro, but depends on Swiss banking for reserves. The Swiss postal system handles all international mail for San Marino. Yes, even Amazon deliveries. According to the 2023 San Marino government budget, 43% of their tax revenue comes from customs duties processed through Swiss-Italian agreements. San Marino's president once said in an interview, "If Switzerland disappeared tomorrow, we'd become part of Italy by Friday." Let that sink in. A country that survived for 1,700 years now admits it can't last a week without Switzerland. San Marino knows it's dependent. But the next country? They're in denial. 4. Monaco. Monaco is where billionaires hide. But their money isn't actually in Monaco. When Aristotle Onassis moved to Monaco in 1953, journalists assumed he kept his fortune in Monte Carlo's famous banks. Wrong. Onassis kept his money in Swiss vaults. And that tradition continues today. 78% of Monaco's banking sector uses Swiss parent companies, UBS, Credit Suisse. Monaco has no stock exchange. All securities trading goes through Zurich or Geneva. According to Monaco's Statistics Office, 2023, 87 billion euros in Monaco accounts are custodied by Swiss institutions. Monaco's casinos are world famous, but the real casino is in Switzerland, where Monaco's actual wealth is gambled on global markets. Here's the thing. Monaco projects an image of financial independence, luxury, power, but peel back the layers, and it's just Switzerland's Mediterranean showroom. Monaco's dependence is financial. For the next country, Switzerland controls their very identity. 3. Campione d'Italia. This Italian town is surrounded by Switzerland, and Italy has basically abandoned it. Meet Marco. He's a 52-year-old shop owner in Campione d'Italia, a tiny Italian enclave completely surrounded by Swiss territory. Marco uses Swiss francs. He drives on Swiss roads. His kids go to Swiss schools. He hasn't set foot in real Italy in 3 years. Why? Because Italy doesn't care about Campione. The town is too small, too remote, too expensive to maintain. So Italy outsourced everything to Switzerland. 100% of Campione's infrastructure, electricity, water, internet, emergency services, comes from Switzerland. Residents pay Swiss taxes but aren't Swiss citizens. They exist in a stateless limbo. According to a 2022 Italian-Swiss border agreement, Campione officially ceded utility control to Switzerland indefinitely. When Marco's daughter broke her arm last year, the ambulance that came had a Swiss flag. The doctor spoke German. The bill was in francs. In 2020, Italy tried to reclaim Campione by forcing them to switch to euros. The economy collapsed in 6 months. Shops closed. People fled. Switzerland bailed them out by allowing francs again. Campione is geographically trapped. But the next 2 countries? They chose this trap, and now they can't escape. 2. Luxembourg. Luxembourg is the EU's richest country per capita, built entirely on copying Switzerland's playbook. In 1970, Luxembourg passed banking secrecy laws modeled on Switzerland's. The goal? Become Switzerland 2.0. And for a while it worked. Luxembourg became a financial powerhouse, home to 140 banks and 4 trillion euros in assets. But here's the catch. Luxembourg banks still use Swiss clearinghouses for transactions over 10 million euros. Why? Because Swiss infrastructure is more secure, more trusted, more global. 34% of Luxembourg's investment funds, euro 1.2 trillion, are custodied by Swiss banks. And when disputes arise, Swiss arbitration courts settle 89% of Luxembourg's international financial conflicts. According to Luxembourg's central bank, 2024 Swiss financial infrastructure remains critical to our sovereignty. Translation: Luxembourg tried to become Switzerland, but ended up becoming Switzerland's client instead. Luxembourg's dependence is voluntary greed. But number one, this country's survival is existentially tied to Switzerland. And if the relationship breaks, millions could die. 1. Eritrea. Eritrea is one of the world's most isolated dictatorships, and Switzerland is the only reason it hasn't collapsed. Meet Asmara. She's 29 years old. In 2019, she fled Eritrea's brutal military dictatorship, walking for 3 weeks across the desert to reach Sudan. Today, she lives in Geneva, working as a cleaner. Every month, she sends $200 home through Swiss remittance systems. That $200? It's her family's only income. And Asmara isn't alone. 61% of Eritrea's GDP, $1.8 billion per year, comes from diaspora remittances processed through Swiss banks. According to the World Bank's 2023 remittance report, Eritrea is the most remittance-dependent nation on Earth. But it goes beyond money. Switzerland is Eritrea's diplomatic mediator with the UN, handling sanctions, aid negotiations, and human rights talks. Swiss humanitarian organizations provide 47% of Eritrea's food aid. Asmara's mother survives on that $200 a month, money that flows from a Geneva bank to a crumbling clinic in Asmara, keeping her alive. If Switzerland cut off remittances tomorrow, Eritrea's government would lose control in 30 days. Mass starvation would follow. The regime would collapse. Civil war would erupt. Here's the moral complexity. Should Switzerland pull the plug on a dictatorship, even if it hurts innocent people like Asmer's mother? International activists say yes, condition aid on human rights reforms. But Switzerland, true to its neutrality, refuses to take sides. And so, Eritrea survives, barely. 10 countries. One lifeline. From Liechtenstein's money to Eritrea's survival, Switzerland holds the strings. So here's the real question. Should one country have this much power over others? Or is this the price of neutrality? Switzerland holds the world hostage. Peacefully? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you think your country depends on someone else, tell us who. We might make a part 2. Hit subscribe if you want more videos that expose the invisible power structures running our world. Because the truth? Power isn't always loud. Sometimes it's silent, Swiss, and impossible to escape. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm bringing you fresh content every day that you won't want to miss. Turn on notifications to be the first to know when the next video drops.